Okay, you guys are seeing that? Okay, 10 simple low-cost ways to increase your marketing. I'm just going to cover a couple things today. I don't want to really spend a lot of time talking, but there are a couple of basic things that I want to hit on. Um, one is a market segment that seems to keep coming up more and more and more. I would say in the last 12 months, I'm hearing more about this and more trainers saying, man, I just have more clients that are on the frail to lower independent. And I think that's in a lot of ways, that's a great thing. It's not great that they're unfit and unhealthy, but it's a great thing that they're actually seeking you out, that they're finding you. Um, if this is something you're running into more of, you're going to have solutions for this. And in most cases, they're going to need one-on-one or very small, semi-private 2 or 3 clients in a focused setting. Joanne here started with me in what we called our fall proof balance class with 2 other women that were also in the unfit, unhealthy, falling category. And I don't think she could have done regular, I don't even like the term regular, but right, she couldn't have done small group personal training with more functional clients. It just wouldn't have worked. And I'm seeing this more and more. In fact, Tommy McGuire sent in a question, and this is why I kind of wanted to start here. He said, I try to offer balance classes and everybody wants it to be free. My response to that, and Tommy, I sent you the email and I'll send you the recording. He said he couldn't be on live today. My response to that is, first of all, language matters. So if you're, and he's working at a health club, if you call something a class, especially at a health club, people are going to assume it should be free, right? It should come with my membership. The classes at the Y down the street are free. The silver sneaker classes over at XYZ Health Club are free. They're not free, but your silver sneaker membership is paying for it, right? They're essentially free classes. The senior center has free classes. So we have to be careful with language. Now, I'm not opposed to you offering a free balance class if that makes sense for your business. And if you're running a health club where you want to have a lot of people in free classes, that makes sense for a health club model. But for Tommy, it didn't make sense, right? He's a semi-retired functional aging specialist in his 70s in Reno, Nevada. And, he's only got so much time and he's not looking to lead a free class for a health club that's going to pay him $14 an hour to teach that free class. And so I said, call it balance training, call it specialized balance training, call it fall prevention sessions, call it fall proof training, have a unique name designation for it, and don't allow more than 4 or 5 people into that training session. It's not a class. It's not free. People won't pay for it except those that really value it, right? Like Joanne here wanted to go to the Galapagos Islands and she was willing to pay whatever it was going to take to be able to achieve that dream. She was willing to pay for a specialized balance session with a couple other women, and she was willing to pay for one-on-one personal training. So my answer to Tommy on that was, don't offer classes, offer specialized balance training, offer sessions, training sessions, whether you do it one-on-one, semi-private, or small group. I think you can offer a really comprehensive balance training program with 6 clients. It probably gets trickier the larger you go. Could you do 8 or 10 clients? You could. They probably have to be not in the unfit and unhealthy category. So just be mindful of that. So that's something I keep hearing. And I think part of that is our country has gotten 3-4 years older since COVID hit, and people that were 70 in 2020 are now turning 73, 74 and sitting around for 2 years. They've shifted into this lower independent, maybe even frail category. And of course, if you were 80 in 2020, here you are in 2023 turning 83, and we know you're knocking on that magic number of 85, which is where we really see an uptick and almost a tipping point on frailty. And so if at age 80 in 2020 COVID hits and you stop exercising, stop going to bridge clubs, stop going to the golf course, stop going to church, stop your life, right? We stopped activities for a lot of older people for, in some cases, 12 months to 24 months. And we accelerated that shift from active independent to lower independent, from lower independent to frail. And I think we're seeing an uptick in just the number of people in this unfit, unhealthy category, which I don't see that as, I mean, it might be a negative for that individual, but it's not a negative for us. It's an opportunity for us. The question is really going to be, how are you going to serve them? And I know, Mandy, I think you're serving quite a few people in this lower independent category. So we have to be mindful of the fact that more and more of them are going to be coming, and I don't think we're going to see this slow down at all. And so if you are primarily thinking you want to train groups of 6 to 8, but you keep getting people in this lower independent category, you might have to think about how is your business model going to serve them and serve them well. So that's a trend that I'm seeing. Another continuing trend are boomers that just have a lot of money to spend and want to do a lot of fun things, right? You know, so these guys are high wealth, high affluent golfers. They spend more on golf than they'll ever spend on fitness. What other sorts of sports are out there? We've seen this explosion in pickleball. Well, pickleball is not an immediate sport where you have to be affluent to do that. In most cases, there are sports where you go, horseback riding, you own your own horses, boating, water skiing, golfing for sure, downhill skiing. There are quite a few sports where we kind of can make some assumptions that there's some money involved there. Golf for sure, in most cases, has a level of affluence. Not always, but people that golf regularly and have a country club membership, I mean, these guys were spending $50,000 a year on golf. So keep that in mind. The high end affluent, 58 to 68-year-old male and female tennis clubs, tennis country clubs, golf country clubs, horseback riding clubs. These are automatic markers of some level of affluence. Obviously, people that own a boat and go boating and like to water ski and jet ski and these sorts of things, you can kind of already clue in that they're really great potential clients. So I've got just a couple more slides I want to go over with you guys, and then I just want to brainstorm problems you're having. I'll have you guys come on camera. If you have not done this drill, this is required homework for everyone I ever work with, ever coach with. You have to start here. So if you know your avatar's name, everybody should be able to, I think the chat's working. Yeah, everyone and anyone. So I'll just type in here. Over the years, I have routinely referred to my avatar as Terry because Terry was on the cover of my book. Sue was probably my other great avatar. I can't find my book at the moment. It's probably laying around here somewhere. So if you know the name of your avatar, that's a good starting point. If you have no idea, if you're like, I don't know who my avatar is, then you really need to do this homework again. So I just typed in the chat, Terry, Sue. Sue has been married 40 plus years. She's 65. She's got 2 kids, 3 grandkids. She's a retired speech pathologist, speech therapist. She lives in University Farms. I don't know where she worships offhand. I believe it would be something like St. Andrew's Methodist or First United Methodist. Bev, I believe, is at First United Methodist. First United Methodist and St. Andrew's Methodist have been big ones for Miracles Fitness over the years. Spa, you'd probably have Christina's or Evan Todd. Those would be the spa and hair salon. So that's a hair salon and a manicure, pedicure, massage, full hair salon and spa. You should know these places where your clients are going. If you don't know everything on this list, you got some work to do. Who's their massage therapist? Well, that might be at Evan Todd, their spa, or they might have a separate massage therapist that they go to, because a lot of spas and hair salon, nail salons, they don't have massage therapists. They have, just people that do relaxation massage. So, massage therapist here in Lafayette, West Lafayette. The two that come to mind that our clients have used would be Inner Waves Massage and Essential Touch. Chiropractor, Wagner Chiropractic. That would be the big one here in our market. We used to have a great one that was literally walking distance from our studio. Um, Beth Spencer was her name. She moved away, unfortunately. She was a great referral source for us. What are their hobbies, right? So this is where we're getting into things like, golf and tennis, hiking, biking, swimming, bridge club. That could be a church club. Could be any, shopping might be one of their hobbies, right? There could be a long list. Quilting, charities, Habitat for Humanity, um, Ultimate Pink Party. Um, I mean, there's so many different charities. Food Finders, Food Bank is a big one. A lot of our retired clients work in, it seems like either their church food pantry or a local food pantry or Food Finders itself, who's their vet clinic, their physician. They might have an optometrist. They might have a OBGYN. They might have a family physician. They might have a cardiologist. There might have an orthopedist. There could be several different physicians, physical therapist. You should have kind of a go-to physical therapy clinic where, if you have great clients and they need to have a knee replacement, or they need to have physical therapy post-surgery, you should have a relationship that you can immediately refer them to someone and vice versa. Restaurants, I've shared this story before. I didn't know when I moved to West Lafayette in 2002. I was 27 years old, I think, when we moved here. I was young and immature. I had no idea there were no restaurants fit to eat at in West Lafayette, and only one in all of Lafayette. Which now, I'm being a little bit sarcastic, but that's what my client Bev told me, right? I mean, she educated me to the fact that there are no restaurants fit to eat in all of Lafayette, West Lafayette, and we must have over 1,000 restaurants. With Purdue University here per capita, we have more restaurants than you could ever imagine, and every variety. But none, according to Bev, were fit to eat at, except for one, Bistro 501. So I filed that away. Didn't really know what to even do with that information until I opened my own studio, and then I realized, hey, I probably should get to meet the manager of Bistro 501 and check this place out, and have come to eat there. And we've had our 50th our parents' 50th wedding anniversary dinner there, and I wound up training the owner and her mother. And anyway, you should have your avatar's restaurants on your list, right? There are probably a handful of high-end restaurants. They might not even all be high-end. They might just be the local, family breakfast diner. Where do they want to go on vacation? Where do they want to travel? What kind of trips do they want to do? Right? Like I showed Joanne here in the Galapagos Islands, right? That was how we got her as a client. She wanted to go to the Galapagos Islands, right? That was her dream vacation, her dream last trip. Coffee shops, try to be a little more creative than just Starbucks, though Starbucks gift cards work. People like Starbucks, but there might be a favorite local coffee shop that your avatar likes. Chico's, um, that's where, in our market, that's where women 60 plus are shopping for clothes, especially in West Lafayette. We basically have two places, Chico's and Talbot's. We have a strip mall with Chico's and Talbot's, and other than that, you got to go all the way across town to Lafayette out to the mall, about 20 minutes away. So we got to train the manager at Chico's for several years. That was great for us. Clothing boutique stores. Again, this is an assignment you should do if you haven't done, and you can get even more thorough than this. Get into what are their passions, what are their fears, what's keeping them up at night, what's their biggest challenge or struggle right now, what do they need help with. You could add things to this list like home care companies. You get into your 60s and 70s, and you start to think about, how can I make my life easier, right? And so you might hire a home care company for things like, you know odd jobs around the house, helping with errands, cleaning out your gutters, washing your windows. I don't really need home care, but I'll hire one of those companies because they'll help me with some of these other things. You might hire a handyman, you might hire a lawn care service. You know, you don't want to have to move into a neighborhood where they take care of your lawn, but you also don't want to have to do it anymore. So you could add more to this list. By no means is this complete and fully exhaustive, but if you don't know these things about your best clients, you need to do a little more research, because there's two reasons I encourage people to do this. One, you know your clients a little bit better, so it's a little bit easier then if if a great client refers someone to you that comes in and signs up for your most expensive program, it's nice to be able to immediately go, oh, I'm going to get Bev a $50 gift card to Bistro 501 because I know that's the only restaurant she thinks is fit to eat in town. If I got her a $50 gift card to Olive Garden, she would probably look at me funny, like, you think I eat at Olive Garden? I would never set foot in an Olive Garden, right? I should have known that about her. Well, I got to know that about her. I also know that she routinely had her hair done at Christina's. That's the only place she'd go for her hair and her nails. So either place, I get her a gift card to Christina's or Bistro 501. Can't go wrong. In fact, she shopped at Chico's. I could have got her a gift card there as well. So you get to know your client a little bit better, but guess what? You also get to know where your future clients are hanging out, right? You know, they're hanging out at places like Christina's and Bistro 501 and Chico's. And so you want to hang out there as well and figure out, how can I do a giveaway, or how can I do a cross promotion, or how can I do something to promote Christina's and they might promote me, or what could I ask Christina's to give away for me? And all of a sudden you start popping up in the right places. And so that's really, really valuable. You also know a little bit more about your prospective client. You just have a better sense of who they are, what makes them tick, where they're hanging out, all those sorts of things. So I don't think we have to get completely overwhelmed. This is where I say keep it simple. If you know all these things about your best clients, right, then you don't have to get overwhelmed. You can keep it super simple, just one step at a time. Okay, I need to go meet the manager, the salesperson. I might even need to go get my nails done or my hair cut at one of these high-end salons and figure out how I can build a relationship, one contact at a time, right? It's a win-win. You're not competition with the high-end nail salon. It's a win-win. You want to be buying gift cards there. You want to figure out how they can refer to you, how you can cross promote one another. So just keep it simple, one step at a time, one contact at a time, right? One nice bistro restaurant at a time, one nice Chico's clothing boutique store at a time, one nice hair salon, one chiropractor. You start doing this gradually, right? Build a chiropractor relationship, a massage therapist relationship, a veterinary clinic relationship, start adding to your charity roster. It starts to add up over time, right? You start to expand your network. We all know approximately 150 people. So that one client of yours, and I put in the chat, I encourage you guys to type in the chat, hey, who's your absolute best client? Just go ahead and type their name in the chat. That one client of yours knows 150 people, right? Now, they don't all necessarily live in your market. They don't all necessarily want to hire a trainer, but how can we get to 5 or 10 of them? And how can we get introductions just gradually over time, right? That charity organization, right? Their board, let's say they have 6 people on their board. Those 6 people all know 150 people, right? So as you get involved in charities and different fundraising type activities, Ultimate Pink Party for us was a great one. Ultimate Pink Party was a breast cancer fundraising charity. It held their event every year in October, which is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. About 400 women attended. Again, keep it simple. You know, we would show up and have a booth. We would support the event. I think it was like $100 to have a table to support the event. Help offset the cost of the event. They would get anywhere from 50 to 60 sponsors, which I think pretty much probably paid for the dinner. And then of course, every person attending is paying 60 to 70 bucks for their dinner ticket. They would raise 25, 30 grand at this event. And I'm just there keeping it simple, right? One step at a time. I wanted to get one contact at a time. Somebody comes up to our table. and we'd offer them a 21-day fitness transformation for free if they filled out a form, right? And we would get anywhere from 50 to 75 women at that event signing up for anywhere from a free consultation to a 21-day fitness transformation. And I would say of those 75, probably a third to half of them had had too much to drink, weren't really sure what they were filling out, and didn't follow through with us. And that's fine. We were just hoping to get 5 to 10 people that next week to book to do something, right? If they schedule to come in for a consultation or schedule to come in for a 21-day fitness transformation, the rest of them we would follow up with and let them know that they had signed up for, you know, a 21-day fitness transformation. They'd filled out a form saying they wanted to join our fitness newsletter, and we would add them to our email list, right? And so one simple evening fundraising event, fun event, we'd get anywhere from 50 to 75 people. So again, keep it simple. Don't get overwhelmed. Don't overthink it. Events are great things to go to where you can get 50 to 75 names. Have a simple form for them to fill out to get something of, I say of tangible value that's doesn't cost them anything, right? So it could be your fitness evaluation and training session, and it's a $99 value. But for you filling out this form and joining our fitness newsletter, we're going to give it to you completely free. We'll send you an email to get scheduled. So you're letting them know they're signing a form saying, put me on your email list. And they might not be ready to train, right? That's the other thing we have to realize is just because somebody happens to be at the Ultimate Pink Party doesn't mean they're looking to hire a personal trainer tonight or next week. But if I get them on my email list and now I can send them great content 6 months from now when they are ready, they're going to come to us because we've developed a relationship with them through email marketing. So that's how that works. Okay, I'm going to stop here. I want you guys to either turn your camera on or type in the chat. And let's just handle any questions you guys have, challenges, struggles. See a few more people have joined. My avatar's name is Maturity. She's a composite of 2 or 3 of my favorite clients. I don't know all the places folks go yet because I'm new to the state, but I'm working on this. Yeah. Part of this avatar is it's always a work in progress to some degree, right? So like I jokingly say, I jokingly say Bev taught me that Bistro 501 was the only restaurant in town. Well, as I had a few more clients come along, I learned that there were a few other restaurants people liked, like East End Grill. Well, East End Grill didn't exist when Bev told me there was nowhere else to eat. McGraw's Steakhouse is a high-end steakhouse that I didn't know about, and one that Bev didn't like, but there are people that like. So I've learned a few other places, and obviously as new places pop up, they can. Ruth, Jim is my best, is Courtney. Great. All right. Does anybody have a specific question you want me to try to tackle today? If so, go ahead and unmute if you're willing, or type it in the chat if you're not willing to unmute. You don't have to be on camera.
I have a question, but if somebody has another question, then let them go by all means.
Go for it, Mandy. You're the first to talk, so have at it.
Okay. So the email list, that is the funniest thing that is like the thing I'm scared the most of. I think that's really funny. But I have 0 people on my email list.
Okay.
So when I build an email list, what do I do with it? Like, do I send out a monthly newsletter? And I buy the Prime Fit one, so it's easy to tweak and send that out. I don't have to put a ton of time into it, but so give me some.
Yeah. So you already pay for Prime Fit content?
I do.
Okay. So he probably is creating 4 to 6 emails a month for you?
Yes.
Okay. And there's probably a backlog of even more. There's probably an archive you could. So an email list, yeah, okay. For the first rule is you don't email it once a month. You email it at really the rule is at minimum twice a week. Yeah, and I know sometimes that sounds like, oh, that's a lot.
That's scary.
That's scary. Well, first of all, it's not scary. There's nothing scary about it, right? That's you're just sort of imagining there's something scary about it. But you're overthinking it, right? Because you're like, oh well, first of all, you don't have to create a newsletter every week. You can, but Prime Fit content, the reason you hire these companies to provide
Mhm.
what's called done for you materials and done for you content is you literally just plug that content in, send that email out. Now, you might have to personalize it a little bit with your name and contact info, location, phone number, that sort of stuff, but not much, right? It should be pretty quick, pretty easy. Should not take you an hour. It should be a 5-minute task.
Okay.
That's where people they're like, well, I don't have time to do email marketing. If you're on this call, you have time to do email marketing. I mean,
Yeah.
you do. So FAI sends out a weekly newsletter. That newsletter probably takes us 30 to 45 minutes to put everything together. Some weeks less, some weeks 15 to 20 minutes. And keep in mind, we're sending that out to 20,000 people. So we put a little bit more thought into it,
Yeah.
right? Like we do need to make sure we proofread it and that the links work and, things of that nature, because it's going out to a lot of people. But it's still not a huge amount of time. And then I don't know how many people have noticed our Friday or Saturday email is just the webinar piece from the newsletter. Celia literally pulls that out, takes her 2 minutes, plugs that in, that goes out on Friday or Saturday. And it's nothing more than just hey, don't forget to register for our webinar next week. So FAI automatically is emailing 2 times every week. Now, if we want to sell something or we have a sale going on or a new course we're releasing, we would send more emails. So sometimes I think people overthink it because a simple email you can send every single week is a short little client success story, right? Like Mandy, I know you have 5 emails from the FAI Summit that you could send over the next couple of weeks. And they can
Yes.
be short and simple, right? It can be, I was in this session with Diane Bailey on Tai Chi and I learned these 2 things. It was really cool to be at the FAI Summit. If you ever want to learn Tai Chi, just let me know. That's an email, goes out to your list, right? Another email would definitely be, I went to the Functional Aging Summit for the first time ever, and I won this super cool bodyweight rower from Total Gym. You got to come in and try it. If you want a free session on my new rower, just let me know.
Yeah.
There's another email. I mean, I'm literally writing your emails in 30 seconds.
Okay.
So
They don't have big and glorious. It could really be like what I would normally post,
yep,
right? And just
exactly. Exactly.
email.
Most of your Facebook posts could also be emails, and a
Okay.
lot of your emails can also be Facebook posts. Your clients don't want a 2-page newsletter with all sorts of anatomy and charts and graphs and all this stuff. They don't, right? They need short little stories. So when a client comes in and says something like, "Hey, I traveled to my grandkids, and for the first time, I was able to handle my luggage without back pain," that's an email, right? You're always listening, like, "Oh, that's a great story to share."
Yeah.
Hey, this week Beth told me that she traveled, and for the first time, she hasn't had trouble with her luggage. That was super cool. If you're someone who travels to see the grandkids, you've ever struggled with your luggage, let me know. I'd love to help.
Perfect.
That goes
Perfect.
out. That's it. So I think a lot of times we overthink email, and it really needs to be shorter and simpler. And then, yeah, a couple times a month, we do need to create some great content. And that's where having a company like Prime Fit Content really helps because he's producing tons of great stuff. That's where following a company like Growing Boulder, that's
Yes.
they're covering the National Senior Games. When people are like, "Oh, I don't know what to email," I'm like, just follow Growing Boulder covering the National Senior Games, and you'll have 10 amazing inspirational stories of athletes competing in every sport you can imagine. And that's all stuff you can throw into your emails, right? Hey, did you know in Pittsburgh this week? I think it's Pittsburgh is where it's happening.
Yes. Yeah.
In Pittsburgh this week, there's over 10,000 athletes competing in the National Senior Games. Here's a story of Orville, 97 years old, competing in the 100-meter dash, right? And you just tell that story. And then, hey, if you're ever interested in trying out training with me, right? And you don't have to put that at the bottom. I always tell people every other email, invite people to work with you. And
Okay.
just keep it cool, right? Like, Susan, I can see you on camera, right? So if I was just like, hey, did you know that there's this amazing thing going on in Pittsburgh, the National Senior Games, and there are women of all ages competing in track and field. And right, I could pick out someone's unique story, and then at the end, I could just say, "Hey, Susan, if now's the time for you to get started training, just let me know. Just reply today." I mean, it's that simple, right? We sometimes I think overthink it, but you do have to, in my opinion, you have to have an email list. Um, it's the simplest way to get new clients. It's also very effective 6 months down the road. It pays off because someone will reach out to you and say they're interested. And I think we give up way too fast, right? Because we're like, well, they never came in. Or they come in and they don't sign up. And what they failed to tell us was that same month, their sister was dying of cancer, but because they don't really know you, they're not going to tell you that because it kind of feels weird. And then you're going to get like, have pity on them. And they're like, I'm not looking for pity. It's just what I'm going through right now. And they're not going to email you back and go, oh, by the way, I have to wait for my sister to die of cancer this month. So what do? We I think become the asshole because we're like, well, they weren't really serious about training. They were just a tire kicker and they never really followed up. They ghosted me. We use that word. And I'm like, you don't know what happened. Keep following up, right? Keep pursuing them, keep sending them good stuff. Maybe 6 months from now will be the perfect time, right? Maybe 3 months from now will be the perfect time. Keep following up. Remember, we never know when the perfect time is for someone to start. And so it's really easy for us sometimes to get frustrated because we're like, well, they told us they were interested and then they never came back, right? And so I'm just like, keep pursuing them, keep wooing them, keep sending them great stuff, keep asking them from time to time, hey, is now the right time to start? Hey, I remember we met a month ago and you were really interested. What do we have to do to get you started, right? Give them an opportunity to at least say, hey, you know what? Now is a good time for me. I couldn't really tell you at the time, but I was going through this thing. Because until they get to know, like, and trust you, they're probably not going to tell you that stuff, because it's like they don't need one more person telling them, oh, I'm so sorry that you lost your spouse or your sister or whatever, right? And everybody's going through something, so we always have to keep that in mind. That's why I think email marketing is so effective because I've had people say to me, I've been on your email list for 5 years. I'm like, 5 years? That is a really long time. I'm glad you're finally here, right? You can keep putting out good stuff. It's also a great way for your clients to introduce you, right? Because if you send out a Prime Fit content article and it's really well done and it's really inspirational, your clients go, oh, that's a really cool story on, successful story of aging. They can forward that to 10 of their friends, right? We all know 150 people. So if you're emailing 100 people, that's a lot. But if 10 of them share it with 10 people, that's another 100 people. So email can be pretty fast moving and pretty powerful. I recommend people use MailChimp, ConvertKit, or FitPro newsletter. ConvertKit and FitPro newsletter are both designed for fitness owners. They're an email platform that has some done for you fitness content, like they have some recipes, they have some health fitness tips. Even that stuff's simple, like FitPro newsletter. You can send out like 3 ways you can get more water in this week. That's not going to bother anyone, right? Nobody's going to be like, oh, you're emailing me too much. Like, what? I emailed you 3 tips for how to stay more hydrated. Whether you're a client or not a client, you're not going to be like, oh, that's so annoying. You're sending me these, you know what I mean? So as long as you're sending emails that are useful to people. Now you can't email people 7 days a week. Hey, train with me. Hey, train with me. Hey, train with me. Hey, train with me. Right? That gets a little creepy after a while. There are some businesses, and I think Matt Benvey, Evolve Fitness, I think he emails 5 to 6 days a week. But he has a great piece every day, right? And he has made it a point of emphasis that, and I don't know if he has a rhythm, but like one day of the week, people know is going to be a healthy recipe, right? So if I'm not interested in healthy cooking, I don't open the Tuesday email because it's a healthy recipe. Wednesdays, something on hydration. Thursday might be something on sleep. So he has sort of a flow to it. And people know he's going to send a health, fitness, wellness tip, 5 days a week, and they just get used to that. And if that email frequency is too much, I think this is the mistake people make too, right? They're like, oh, well, if you email too much, people will get off your list. So what? So what? Right? If they get off your list, that's their way of saying, I really don't have any interest in the fitness information you're sharing, the health information you're sharing. I don't want to ever hire you as a personal trainer. Right? We make the mistake of thinking, well, if I only email once a month, then people will stay on my list. Well, people that you don't even want to stay on your list because they're never going to train with you. So if you're emailing 5 times a week and people are staying on your list, that means they're interested in what you're sharing. So just keep that in mind. And you guys probably, I guarantee you are all on email lists that email every single day. You don't open all of them, but you don't unsubscribe because you open 2 or 3 a week and you like them, right? So just remember that we're all on. I mean, I probably have some of you on 2 email lists, right? The Functional Agent Institute emails 2 or 3 times a week. You're probably on that email list, and you're on my business owners list, which is how you guys all got here today because of email. No other way. I didn't post this anywhere else. So just keep that in mind. Allison, love these short email ideas. I felt I had to write multiple articles in a well laid out newsletter. You don't. Honestly, I recommend people do a well laid out newsletter at most once a week, but for most fitness owners, probably once a month. People don't read them. That's always our fear at FAI when we write a really nice long newsletter is people don't even read the second half. So you're like, and sometimes we repeat them, and we'll use the same material again. A really great fitness newsletter that you wrote 3 months ago, you can send again next month because our memory is not like some people will be like, oh, I remember when you sent this a few months ago. This was great. I'm glad you sent it again. But in most cases, people need short, punchy stuff, right? Share a story. Like, have I told you the story about Joanne, who I trained to go to the Galapagos Islands? I didn't know if she'd be able to do it. She didn't know if she'd be able to do it. She was 80 years old. But here's the picture of her at the Galapagos Islands. If you have a dream, I would love to help you. I mean, those are the kind of emails that people go, oh, that's really cool. That's inspirational. I'm so happy that Joanne got to do that. I have no idea who she is, but that's really cool. She got to go, right? Not nobody, jerks will be upset, right? They'll be like, why are you emailing me? I don't give a shit about Joanne, right? Sorry, I cussed, right? But that's what a jerk would do, right? I don't want those people on my email list anyway. Unsubscribe, go away, right? Most everybody else will be like, that was a really cool story. Thanks for sharing it, right? Some people might even be like, you know what? I'm starting to wonder if it's too late for me to go to the Galapagos Islands. And I remember when one of Joanne's friends came in her early 70s, and she was like, I think it's already too late for me. And I said, I know Joanne. She was 80. You're only 73. Right. I even said that. I'm like, you're only 73. Like, she was thinking she was old. I'm like, you're not old. You're only 73. What are you talking about? Who are we kidding here? 73 is young. You've got lots of Galapagos Islands trips in your future. She was like, really? You think so? I'm like, I don't think so. I know so because Joanne was 80 and had Parkinson's. You don't even have Parkinson's and you're 7 years younger. So those are great. Yeah. Keep the email ideas, I think, simple. Take more action. As you send more emails consistently, people will respond and engage more. So, all right. Who else has a question, a challenge, a problem, a struggle? Susan.
I am really on board with this individual contacts thing. And I'm wondering if we could use maybe the restaurants in your town as a test case. Like you said, there was, one that a client recommended. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry, I just bumped my laptop. And then you discovered others over time.
Yep.
So what can you give us an example of when you're going to meet a new restaurant owner, and you're probably like bringing in your family to eat based on some of the things that you've described. I don't know how you do it, but what do you say? What do you like? How do you, what's that conversation?
That's a great question. So think of it this way. You want to go with what I call a giving hand. And I don't know who first coined that expression, probably some
Yeah, I've
business
heard it.
entrepreneur,
Yeah.
but go with a giving hand. So you don't want to show up at the restaurant and go, hey, I want to figure out how to get all your customers to be my clients, right? Which is obviously one of your goals, but really your goal is I want to build a relationship with you. I want to know how I can help your business. And so what I tend to do, um, depending on their hours, what I would really like to do is find an opportunity where I could sit down with the owner when they're not busy, right? And so if I show up at 6:30 on a Friday night, that's to me just sort of rude and insensitive and ridiculous for me to think I'm going to get to meet the owner, right? I mean, they're either not going to be there or they're going to be in the middle of, their busiest evening. So show up at 2 or 2:30 or sometime when they're slow, or go on a day where they're not busy for lunch, and just say, hey, I'd love a chance to meet the owner, or manager. And typically, if it's a restaurant, I'm looking for a locally owned restaurant, right? I'm not doing this with a franchise type like Outback or Olive Garden. Doesn't make sense.
Right.
They don't have a local owner. Um, but what I really want to do is tell them, I want to communicate to them what I've learned. Hey, my best client Bev tells me you're the best restaurant in town. We want to run a friends promotion, and we want to give away gift cards to your restaurant. What's the best way for me to do that? I'm thinking I'd like to give away $20 or $30 gift cards. I don't necessarily want to buy their whole dinner, but I want to reward my clients for referring people to me. And Bev, my best client, tells me you're the best restaurant in town, right? And so that tends to get their attention because they go, well, yeah, I love it. Love the idea, right? And I might go one step further. I might even say, how can I get your logo, your address, and information? Because I want to put that on the promotional flyers. So we really want our clients to be excited about bringing their friends. We're going to make this really a fun event. And so if Bev brings 2 friends, Bev's going to get, a gift card here to Bistro. What's the easiest way for me? Because I could just walk into Bistro on a Thursday at 4 o'clock and buy 10 gift cards for $25 and not tell anybody what I'm doing, right?
Right.
Be totally incognito. They have no clue. But I want them to know, right? I want them to know, hey, I've intentionally sought out your business because my best client has told me you're their favorite. And I want to reward friends like hers with your restaurant. That will help build a relationship. Right now, a restaurant can be a little bit tricky because the restaurant might not be able to reciprocate real well, right? It's not necessarily easy for them to just refer people to fitness. But I've had some restaurants, especially if you have a manager who's hungry, they'll immediately say, oh, well, I'll do you one better. I'll sell you, $30 gift cards for half price if you want to do, right? I mean, sometimes they'll meet you in the middle. They'll say, if you're willing to do 10 of them, I'll do them for half price, because they're looking at it as it's a
Right.
quality lead, right? Especially if I'm
Right.
telling them at Bistro 501, it's a high-end restaurant. They know if I'm giving away these to a high-end client, that's a good referral for them.
Mhm.
So that's the way I would approach it. With a different type of business like a nail salon, a hair spa, they can be even more reciprocal a lot of times than a restaurant, right? And so what Christina's did, because we were regularly referring and building that relationship, and I actually got to meet Christina, the owner, and just kept working at that relationship. I posed to her, and I think I've got them sitting here. I posed to her, hey, what's something we could do to help your sales, right? What's an incentive or a bonus or a gimmick? I mean, she's the owner. She knows I want to increase sales. So what we did was we created, and this is a gift card that we created for a pharmacist, but we created one without the RX on it for her. They were $100 gift cards, just like this, look just like this without the RX. And what they did for Christmas was anyone who buys 2 hair products gets a third one for free and $100 Miracles Fitness gift card. What they found was a lot of people just bought the same one product all the time, right? I just buy the shampoo, or I just buy the conditioner,
Mhm.
or whatever. If you buy 2 products, you get a third product free and $100 Miracles gift card. And I personally could care less if they give away 1,000 $100 Miracles Fitness gift cards, right? Because $100 gift card only gets you like half a month of small group personal training. Well, she said it was an absolute home run for them because people were like, I'm going to get $100 Miracles Fitness gift card if I add a $10 bottle of conditioner. Plus, I'm going to get, right. I mean, it was a huge win for them. And we
Right.
just got our cards given out to all kinds of people. So that was a great, and then people actually would bring them in, right? They would be like, I got this Miracles Fitness gift card at Christina's. I'm like, oh, of course you did. So, so that was just great for us. So that's another way to do it. But even there, right? I'm like, hey, I want to give you something that can help your business generate more business, right? How can I help you? Now, if the bistro was willing to give away our $100 gift cards, we would have given them $100 gift cards. It's a little weird for a restaurant, right? Like you're in the middle of your 3-course meal to walk up and go, here's a gift card to a fitness studio because you're looking especially fat at dinner tonight. It's not a good look. But we did wind up training the bistro's owner and her mom, which was, I want to say the mom was like a $5,000 a year client, and the owner was probably a $2,000 a year client. We probably had them for 3 years. So in the end, it definitely wound up paying off. So, so I always say, go with a giving hand. Your goal is to build a relationship. How can I help you? If you focus on that, at some point they'll hopefully be like, well, how can I help you in return? And that obviously is more natural with chiropractors and physical therapists and massage therapists than restaurants. But again, if you can build great referral prizes, great giveaways, great gifts, that's a huge thing, right? We would run referral contests, and it would be $10 to we started out with $10 to Camille's Coffee and Deli for every friend you bring in. And for every 3 friends you bring in, you get a $30 restaurant gift card to either Bistro, Red 7, or there was one other one, McGraw's Steakhouse, maybe. So our goal is to get people to bring more than one friend, right? So if you bring one friend in, we're going to basically buy coffee for the 2 of you to go out for coffee. If you bring 3 friends in, we're going to give you a restaurant gift card. And that was always really successful for us and pretty low pressure, right? I mean, we just let our clients know, hey, the 3rd week of August is Bring a Friend Week. Here's how you're going to be rewarded. We had to put some rules on it, like you can't bring more than 3 friends to a session if you're one of those people. We had a gal one time bring 14 friends to a training session. I was like, I didn't realize people had 14 friends. Like that's a lot of people. My trainer was like, okay, you got to put some rules on this.
Right. That's insane.
Carla's trying to win the contest and then some. And of course, the clients in the training session were like, who are these 14 random strangers? So yeah, we put rules on it. If you're going to bring more than 3 friends, great. You got to let us know 24 hours in advance. We'll create a training session just for you and your friends. And of course, even then we capped it at 6, but people are funny. Does that help?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's a little, I've got to scale because I don't have a studio. I'm a 1-person shop. So I got to, think a little creatively.
Yeah.
To do that.
I think it's just, again, it's just think of it as one contact at a time, right?
Yeah.
One relationship at a time. And there will probably be 4 restaurants that will just be like, not want to have anything to do with you, and then there'll be one that will just be excited about it and become kind of the go-to one. Camille's happened to be one that really got it, and because they were more of a volume coffee shop deli, they weren't a high-end restaurant, but they were a nice coffee shop, nice deli, nice place you could go for. I mean, a lot of our lady clients would have gone there for lunch, right? They wouldn't have gone there for a nice dinner out, but they certainly would have gone there for lunch or for tea or for coffee. And their manager totally got it, right? She was like, I mean, we did a promotion one time where all we did was just give away smoothies to Camille's, and they did not charge us anything. They were just like, here's 100 free smoothie tickets. And so for that particular Bring a Friend week, it was, you got a free smoothie or coffee at Camille's, and they gave them all to us, right?
Wow.
but they realized our clients were good clients, right? I mean, if you
Mhm.
give a $4 smoothie coupon to, a really good client, they're going to walk in there and probably buy something else. They're going to come back again tomorrow. They're going to become a repeat client. And so Camille's really got it and was willing to do that stuff with us a lot. So
Right.
that was a great relationship. As we moved forward and we got to where we were buying $10 gift cards, they would routinely do those for us at half price. So we were paying 5 and giving 10 away. They're basically splitting the cost with us, which was great. Our client didn't know, they didn't need to know. So that was kind of a win-win. But again,
Yeah.
we built that relationship over time with them. So all right, who else has a question, challenge, problem?
I do. Dan.
Okay, Patricia.
Hi. Yes. Hi, Dan. I have a question, well, a couple of questions. I get stuck by paralysis by analysis a lot, instead of getting going. And I live in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and I have a small 200 square foot studio in my home
Okay.
that I would like to kind of start out at. Um, and I'm wondering, should I mean, how do you market, or should you market to people uh, that are closer, within a certain distance of where I live?
Yep.
Um, okay, and of course, I know you know Albuquerque from the
Yep. I've been there.
museum
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, yeah. And price point is a question
Yeah.
that I have. Is 200, first of all, is 200 square feet enough for a small group class?
It is. It's going to be a little tight when you get over 4 people, depending on how it's laid
Right.
out, but you
Okay.
definitely can do it. We we designed a space that was exactly 200, maybe 210 square feet at our
I
studio
think
for
that's about what mine's is.
yeah, for training 4 people.
Okay.
So you're going to have 1 or 2 clients in a small space, right? Like they might be doing something stationary, and the other 2 clients can have room to move.
Uh-huh.
If you're down on the floor doing a plank, doesn't take a huge, footprint. If you're, doing a squat, doesn't take a huge footprint. The other two
Right.
clients then can have more room to move. So 200
Mm-hmm.
square feet, you can definitely, market yourself as semi-private training.
Okay.
The rule that most markets fall is the 10 to 12 minute radius, right? Now,
Okay.
are there exceptions? Yeah, I talked to a gal in Silicon Valley the other day. She's like, I got this client that wants to drive 30 minutes. I'm like, well, there must not be anything in her. She's like, I can't believe she wants to drive 30 minutes. I'm like, well, she's the exception, right? But
Right.
you don't want to be marketing to a 30-minute radius. You want to be marketing to about a 10-minute radius. And because you're small and you've got an in-home studio, an
Mm-hmm.
email list is a great place to start. You start with a couple of clients, you ask them
Mm-hmm.
for introductions to people they know, you ask them about all of these different connections, right? Like what clubs and organizations are they in? What are their charity events they go to, right? You want to get introduced to their circle, right?
Right.
Who's their massage therapist, those sorts of things. How can I get an intro to
Mm-hmm.
their chiropractor? If your 2 best clients say, this is my chiropractor, that should be the first place you're going to take coffee to someone tomorrow, right? You're like, well,
Right.
like I keep saying, Bev told me Bistro
Right.
501 was the best restaurant. If she told me that Dr. Wagner was the best chiropractor in town, that's who I'd be showing up with the next morning with Starbucks, right? Or something, be
Right.
like, hey, I want to get to know you because Bev tells me you're the best chiropractor in town. He's like, oh, Bev Carnes said that,
Right.
he's like, and of course he would know who she is, right? So when you have a
Yeah.
small space, Patricia, all the same rules still apply.
Mm-hmm.
In fact,
Mm-hmm.
if you build an email list to 100, you'll probably be sold out, right?
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to build an email list to 2,000 like a studio owner might have to because they need 100 clients, because you'll probably be
Right.
sold out at 30 clients. So build an email list of 100, right? One
Mm-hmm.
contact at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Where are they in your neighborhood?
Right.
And just go do it one person at a time. So some
Okay.
some of that is the old, just meet and greet and get out there and find people and get your first couple clients, and then from them leverage, their network. Who do they know? That sort of
Yeah,
thing.
right. And then what about, because this is Albuquerque,
Yeah.
price point for that.
Yeah. Well, because you're doing it out of your home, your overhead's a little bit lower, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
I still think you've got to be charging, a reasonable rate. So if you're doing semi-private, let's say it's 3 or 4 clients,
Mm-hmm.
30 to 40-minute sessions, you need to be at about $200 a month for twice a week, probably $250 a month for 3 times a week. And then
Okay.
one-on-one, if people want private sessions, it needs to be at least double that. Though
Okay.
a lot of times I encourage people to be 2.5 times, right?
Okay.
Because you don't want to get in a situation where you resent your one-on-one clients, right? So
Right.
like,
Right.
if I'm training, I'll just, Allison, Roger, and Jacqueline, if I'm training the 3 of them for 200 a month, and then Susan comes along and she's like, well, I really want one-on-one, and I only charge her 400 a month. I'm like, you know what? I really would rather be training Roger, Allison, and Jacqueline because I'm making a lot more money. And Susan comes in
Right.
and she complains about the flavor of the Kleenex and it's too warm in here, or I don't like this music, or just what, one person
Yeah.
always complains a lot more than 3 people in a group. So
Right.
that's why I always say your one-on-one should be 2.5 to even 3 times the price of your small group. Because it has to be, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. At some point, you're
Right.
like, why am
Right.
I doing this? I should just go back to training groups of 3. So
Exactly. Okay. And then my other question is, for online, I thought about doing online. My daughter, she is, Mom, you need to do stuff online, but old people are not online. I'm like, well, first of all, I'm not necessarily working with old people. I'm not an old people. So she said online is the way to go. But she doesn't think that 50 or 45 to 70-year-olds are online, but I think they are. I think I've heard you say they are online. But online training, I know, can be kind of
they're
uh,
absolutely on. They're absolutely online. Um,
mhm.
the there's some people say the cut point on that is somewhere around age 80, 82. 80-year-olds are certainly online too. But look, if an 80-year-old is not online, then they're probably not your avatar, right? They're
Right,
just
right.
probably
Yeah.
not. If you want to do online training, there are absolutely baby boomer women in their 70s online. I mean, they're dominating the internet, right? They spend more money on the internet than any other demographic, right? So
Okay.
when people say older people aren't online, I say, well, I mean, they're not online as addicted as young people,
Right.
right? They're not walking around with
Exactly.
their face in their phone, but they're
Exactly.
absolutely online and they're spending billions of dollars online.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, Amazon Prime Day, I'm guessing boomers spent billions in 2 days, right? I mean, it's just
Right,
staggering.
right,
So to say they're not online is a mistake. And the people that aren't online are probably not your avatar anyway, right?
right,
I
right,
mean, if I'm a 72-year-old on a fixed income and I don't have a laptop and I don't get on the internet, I probably can't afford your service anyway. Um,
right.
but let's be honest, the average 72-year-old has a smartphone, in a lot of cases has a Facebook account, certainly has an email account. I mean,
Right.
just to say a 70-year-old does an email, I mean, you're almost like, wait a minute, 23 years ago, they would have been 47. They didn't have to email at work in 2000. I mean, email's been around a long
A
time,
long
right?
time.
So
Yeah.
we're kind of missing it when we say that, I think.
Uh-huh.
Um,
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Uh-huh.
my grandmother at 99 3/4, she died at 99 3/4, had an active Facebook account, right? I mean, she
Wow.
was more active on Facebook than my mom, mostly because she wanted to post pictures and see what the grandkids and great grandkids were doing, right?
Right.
So people are, I mean, my mother-in-law is 75. She's on Instagram, she's on Facebook, she's probably addicted to what's going on Facebook, right? I mean, it's
Right. Right.
like, what are
Right.
you, Joyce? What are you doing? Get off of the computer. Your grandkids are in the room, It's like, so they're definitely online.
Oh, okay. So then maybe I should maybe do a little of both. I could do a little of both of those things, yeah,
You can't,
online and
you can, but you don't have to. I mean,
right.
I think because you want to do it out of your own home, you can be busy enough just networking in your own neighborhood, right? I mean, get to
Mm-hmm.
know your local business owners near you,
Right.
find the organizations, the Kiwanis clubs, the Rotary clubs, the quilting clubs, the bridge clubs,
Right.
I mean, there's clubs that I don't even know exist, that you probably don't even know exist, that older clients are
Right.
hanging out in.
Exactly.
These secret philanthropy clubs, and just hang out organization. I mean, I remember I had a 94-year-old client. He's like, yeah, I go to breakfast with the guys every morning. He's like, you should join us. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, well, there's a whole bunch of us that get together at McDonald's. I mean, like, they were getting together at McDonald's like 4 or 5 days. Like, first of all, it doesn't sound like the healthiest breakfast to be doing 5 days a week, but it was a social club. I mean, it was like
Yeah.
20
Yeah.
of these guys getting together. I was like, I probably should come to that sometime. There's probably a lot of business in that room.
Right.
So there are a lot of clubs in your neighborhood you don't even know exist. Go looking for
It's
those.
true. Right.
But yeah, they're certainly online for sure.
Okay. So if so, how do I go look for those? I go online and see what kind of clubs are in the area. I know
Yeah,
there's
and
a golf course right across the street from me.
yeah, yep.
And
Start with the golf course. Um,
car
y-
show, car clubs,
yep.
car clubs.
Anywhere, I would say start anywhere around you within 5 minutes, right?
Okay.
Pop into a massage therapy clinic, pop into a nail salon, pop into a physical therapy clinic, the golf club, and go asking for information and questions. Tell them what you're doing, and you're just looking to
Okay.
meet people, and they'll be like, oh, you should come to my Rotary club sometime, so
Right.
they're like, oh, I would love to, and then you show up at the Rotary Club and you do the same thing, right? You look for 5 more
Okay.
people that tell you about how to connect, and pretty soon, 2, 3 weeks from now, you'll be like, I've met 50 new people, and you've really started to build a network, and a database, and people to reach out to, and you're building a
Mm-hmm.
list, so
Mm-hmm.
you just got to get out
Okay.
there and get busy doing it.
Get busy doing it. Okay. And your 21 day transformation, what did they get out of that? When you did your 21-day transformation for marketing, what was
Yeah,
the outcome? You know what I mean?
so we offered that 2 ways. We would offer it for 99 bucks. And then at certain things, we'd offer it for free as the enticement to get their information, or sometimes as the giveaway. And our
Mm-hmm.
goal was, if someone were to train with us for 3 weeks, it typically, if it was free is always tricky, right? Because
Right.
I don't really know if this person's ready to make the investment. They might like training for free. They might really like our service. They're not really
Right.
ready to pay 200 bucks a month. So on the
Right.
free, we typically got about a 30 to 40% conversion would become clients.
Mm-hmm.
What we
Okay.
didn't track really well was how many became clients 6 months and a year later, because
Right.
several did, right? They would come back a
Mm-hmm.
year later and go, okay, I should have signed up when I, did the 21-day free a year ago, but now
Right.
I'm ready, so, because again, if I throw something at you right now that's free, you might go, well, gee, I should do that. And then at the end, when I'm like, hey, now it's 300 a month, you're like, I don't know if I'm really ready to make that commitment, right?
Right.
You're
Right.
ready to jump in at free, but the $99, we saw over a 50% conversion. So that was typically
Okay.
around 2/3, 60 to 65%, because they were already paying. They were already at a level of willing to pay, now jumping into an ongoing commitment. So for us, it was really just a 3-day trial, or a 3-week trial, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
3 weeks of
Mm-hmm.
experiencing what's it like to work with us. How does this feel? We felt like 3 weeks was long enough that people could kind of feel the results starting to happen.
Okay.
Anything shorter than 3 weeks, just isn't long enough for someone to experience how this is going to change their life. Like Allison
Mm-hmm.
asked, do you recommend doing free training sessions for possible reviews, recommendations, help your name? Yeah, absolutely. Do free stuff for reviews and recommendations. Just realize one free session is usually not enough for someone to go, oh, this is going to totally change my life, right? It might be enough for someone who's interested to go, yep, this fits me. This is what I've been looking for. I want this. But for someone who's sort of, I'm not sure, I don't know if I really want to commit, one free session is not necessarily going to get them over the hump. Whereas 3 free weeks definitely can, because now they're starting to feel it. They're starting to see how, boy, I feel better, I move better. I can see how 3 more months of this is going to make a huge difference. But Allison, you're totally right. Doing free training sessions for reviews, recommendations, getting your name out there. Like Patricia, if you want to start fast, go to all these different places, go to the golf club and say, hey, I'm looking to train 5 golfers that have hip and back pain. I'm taking them on for free for 2 weeks, right? You start getting people in for free. You start building your contact database fast. You go to the massage therapist, the nail salon, you show up at Bridge Club, all these different places, and you're offering 2 free weeks. And pretty soon you're like, I'm busy and I'm booked. Now you're busy and booked for just 2 weeks for free, but obviously you're going to turn some of those people into clients. You're going to get contacts from them, referrals from them, all that sort of stuff. So
Right. Okay, great. Well, thank you so much.
Anybody else have a question? I do need to run here in a minute.
Can you tell us what that RX card is?
What it is?
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you mean? But it's just
Did you say something like you used it with a local pharmacist?
Yeah. So this was one, you see the RX, this is one we gave to Custom Plus Pharmacy. And that says $199 on it, I think you can see. So you can get these at telepack.com, and I think the other one is plasticgiftcards.com. They cost about 30, well, prior to COVID, they cost about 30 cents a piece to print. They're probably closer to 50 now because printing has gone through the roof. But you get the stripe on the back. There's no money on this thing, right? But people don't throw it away because they're like, oh well, there's a stripe on the back, and there's look at the gold raised credit card numbers. It has 199. I remember people being like, I still have your gift card in my car because I can't throw it away because somebody might want it because there's $100 on it. And I would laugh and be like, you can throw it away. If you're not going to use it, you give it to someone. But it's just more powerful than if I give you a gift certificate. And actually, they did studies on it. Having the raised numbers and the stripe on the back is more effective than ones without the raised numbers, because it feels like I've given you a real credit card that is really loaded, and I've handed you the responsibility of $200, right? Whether you use it or not, right? You feel like, well, I can't just throw it away,
Right.
So it's just funny. It's just it's more effective than like a gift certificate or those sorts of things.
What's the name of the company you said that makes them?
Telepack.com, TELEPAK.com.
Right. Okay.
And then another one is, I believe it's plasticgiftcards.com. And I'm sure there are others, and there might even be a local printer in your town that does them too. So
yeah. Thanks.
Yeah. Jacqueline, did you have a question?
Hi, yes, I do. We spoke on the phone a few months ago, and you gave me some good ideas. I'm a little bit stuck. I'm providing online. So I'm just the beginning, providing online services. So my specialty is exercise and diabetes. Anyone who has blood sugar issues.
Okay.
And I was trying to figure out kind of a package plan, and we talked about kind of how many sessions to offer. Thing in my area where I am, but the thing I'm online, so it doesn't matter my area. The amount of work that required to deal with exercise plus someone's blood sugars plus medications is a lot more than just exercise. So in terms of the fees that I'm looking to charge, and I don't know, like if it makes sense, like for just like if someone say, okay, I want just one session, it would be 155. If someone maybe offer 3 sessions or 6 sessions, because we do want them for several sessions to see the changes as you suggest many times. But then the cost would be maybe going down to 140 per hour of service. But I'm still kind of struggling with figuring out those prices. That's one question, and then I have another question after.
So I wouldn't don't overthink the price, Jacqueline. You absolutely should be 150 an hour for one session. Maybe even I would probably encourage you to be more like 179 for an hour, because you don't want to do an hour because you can't help anybody with an hour, right? Now I know a lot of times we're like, well, but I could help somebody with 1 hour. Well, sure you could, but do you really want to? And it's probably not efficient use of your time. You really want to work with clients that at a minimum will work with you 5 times. We at Miracles Fitness at the studio, we just said, we're not working with you unless you'll commit to 60 times. I mean, that was our lowest, right? It's like you got to train twice a week for 30 weeks, right? 60 sessions.
Wow.
Because what we found was people who are like, well, I just want to try it out for 10. I'm like, you want to try it out for 10 because you don't believe you're going to do well with this. And guess what? You're not if you only do 10 sessions, because at the end of 10, you're going to go, well, I didn't really get that great of results. I'm like, yeah, because we barely have gotten you started. I mean, it's like, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're like, well, I can only afford to work with you 1 or 2 times, Jacqueline, so I don't know how much you're going to be able to help me. That's when immediately you should be like, yeah, I don't want to work with you because I can't help you that much in 1 or 2 sessions. So your 1 session price should be really high,
Right.
and then build your packages around what you really know you need, right? If you know you need 30 sessions with someone, then that really should be your main price. And then if they commit to 60 sessions, which is twice a week for 30 weeks or 7 months, that price is a little bit, volume discount, right? That's where you're at 119 a session because you're comfortable with that long term. So I wouldn't overthink the pricing, charge what you're worth, and really focus on long term. And how I help people with that is just make it a monthly price, right? So for us, it was 60 sessions twice a week, 7 months. The low price on that was $199 a month.
So monthly, okay, so per month, you're talking about charges per month that they'll pay, and then you work with them for like.
But they
Okay.
have to sign up for 60 sessions or 7 months or something like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
I understand. Okay, all right, got it. So thank you. So my other question is, I have an opportunity to work with a nutritionist in another city next to me, and in her building there is a gym for all the people who rent offices. And I was thinking, I mean, do I put that effort and spend the money on renting the office for a day or half a day and then meet them in the gym? Because right now my service is built on online. So I'm kind of contemplating that's something worthwhile to, because now her clients will possibly be my clients.
Yeah. Okay. Shoot me an email on that, because that's a little more complex for me to try to
Okay.
answer off the cuff. I
Okay.
want to say yes, but the complexity is if you want to have 100% virtual business, then you don't have to do that. And as soon as you start to offer that, you'll have to realize that is going to become an ongoing commitment, right? Because once people start to meet with you in person, then they're going to be like, well, I want to meet with you in person again. Wait, I need to meet with you next week, or I want to meet with you every week, and then pretty soon you're going to be like, now I got to figure out how to get the space and the time and the format. And you're like, my life was pretty sweet when everything was virtual and online, and I didn't have to leave the comfort of my own home. And now I got to travel to. So shoot me an email on that. Give me a little more specifics on the cost structure, the time, and really what you want to do. Because if you don't want to work with people in person, then you don't have to. You can do it all virtual. You absolutely can. So
right. Okay. Yeah, I understand. Last question, sorry. So I also give presentations, and one thing that came up, I gave a presentation on exercise and again managing blood sugar with exercise to Thomas Jefferson University, and then I had to negotiate kind of on a price, and then they asked for the material, and I was kind of hesitant because this is my how do you say, intellectual property, and I put all those slides together, and I didn't want to share with them, but I said, okay, I can answer some questions. So I don't know about that piece. Like, do you share? I mean, you share your slides, you share a lot of content, but I'm like, I don't know if I want to share it, but what's the right thing to do?
share it. Personally, I think share it. I don't think there's any information you can give out that's going to give someone the solution. Because if there was, they would have already found it, because the content for me to solve my diabetes problem, my pre-diabetes problem, these sorts of things, it's out there on the internet, right? I mean, and there's other coaches that have it. And the reality is they need your expertise. They need your coaching. They need you holding their hand to get results. So I'm always of the mindset of share your content, right? I mean, I can share, and I have shared for years, business training content with people, but the people I get the most results with are the ones that coach with me consistently, right?
Mm.
The ones that get into a strategy session with me every month, and we keep moving them forward, and I lay out a plan and say, okay, you need to do this, 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 and this. We're going to meet again in a month or in 2 weeks. A lot of my best coaching clients right now, we're meeting every 2 weeks. So we're constantly taking steps forward. So me sharing a PowerPoint is not going to be like, oh, now everyone's going to go figure it out, because they're not, so I would say share your content, because that builds know, like, and trust, right? People are they're going to be like, oh, Jacqueline's the expert, she's the one I need to hire, right? Because they still don't know how to do it for themselves. They might have the information, but they still need help. So
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
all right, well, I gotta run, everybody. This was a lot of fun. I know I probably didn't get to everybody's questions, but I do just want to remind everyone, and I did just kind of say that there, the people that coach with me consistently, especially the ones that are doing once a month or twice a month, we keep moving them forward, and that's really, really huge. So if you feel like you need a coach, shoot me an email. If you feel like you want to come to a live meeting, our next one's in less than 3 weeks now. Reston, Virginia is August 3rd and 4th. We got 5 seats left. There's a lot of power to being in a live meeting for 2 days where all we do is talk about how to grow your business. So I'd love for you guys to be there if you can. And if you're watching the replay, same goes for you. I'd love to coach you. That's something we do for just $2.99 a month. And I've yet to see someone not really jump their business forward. So if you pay $300 a month and your business grows $3,000 a month, you should see that as a good return on investment. I would make that trade at least. So thanks everyone for being on live. And for those of you watching on the replay, shoot me an email if you have questions. So see you, everyone.
Thank you, Dan.
Have a great day.
Thank you.